What's up YouTube, Jeff back again, and today I'm super excited. Yes, my friends over at Google did send me out a Pixel 4 XL to check out. Hugely appreciate being a part of Team Pixel. You got the special edition box you guys can see there. Very cool, awesome device. I posted some stuff about it over on my Twitter. Been posting some impressions over there. They did give me the Oh So Orange model, which you guys can see right here. And today I want to get into a video that I do a lot with phones as soon as I get them. It's my first 10 things that I do right out of the box. Kind of just some initial setup things. This is obviously not a full review, which will come later. This is just to help you get started once you get the device, if you're thinking about pre-ordering. So let's go ahead and get right into it in this video. The first thing I want to talk about is setting up a secure lock screen with the Pixel 4, the Pixel 4 XL. Now, the one thing that you're going to have to get used to with this device is that it does not have a fingerprint sensor, so you're going to have to get used to using the Face Unlock, which is the main version of biometric security on here. Of course, you can use things like Smart Lock and a pen or a pattern or things like that, but during the setup process, it will also ask you to set up Face Unlock. Now, in my experience, the Face Unlock's been pretty good so far. There's a couple of things people have been talking about with this apparently working with your eyes closed still, which obviously isn't ideal. Hopefully Google will issue some sort of update. This is not final software. This is pre-release software that I'm using on the unit they sent out. So just to make that clear, but the Face Unlock is going to be your main option, so you'll want to set that up and make sure that you've got your face enrolled so that it's working. It's working great for me so far. The next thing you'll want to do with your Pixel 4 as soon as you get it out of the box is decide if you want to use the gesture navigation or if you want to go back to the familiar 3-button system. Now, there are a couple of reasons you might want to use gesture navs, which I'll talk about in a little bit later, but it does come with the default out of the box, which is the gesture navigation. Basically, if you're in an app, you can swipe up to go home like this. You can swipe from the sides to go back. And then if you want to get your recents, you swipe up from home and then you sort of hold it there and you can scroll through your recent apps. Now, if you do want to change this back to the 3-button nav, you can go into the settings, go into system, and then you'll see here you have gestures. If you go there to system navigation, you'll see you can change this from gesture nav to 3-button nav. Now, you can also change some of the settings with inside the gesture navigation, namely the back sensitivity, so that if you just happen to slide your finger along the side and you don't want it to activate right away, you can change that. But if you want to go back to the familiar 3-button nav, you can also do that as well. The next thing I'm going to recommend, I recommend with all of these first 10 things videos, that's to get a custom wallpaper that fits in with your style. Some of the wallpapers that come by default are great, but there are some great apps that I use for this that I always like to recommend. One of those is Backdrops, which is where I got the wallpaper that you see today, which is called Shapefest. They have a lot of other seasonal wallpapers like Halloween wallpapers right now. You can see Zombieland and a couple of other interesting ones like the Jokester for the new Joker movie. I've also been using Wallpix, which is another great app, has a similar layout to Backdrops. They do, wallpapers that are specific to the Note 10, but they also have some minimal ones that they release that are also sort of applicable to every phone. So you might find something in here for your Pixel 4 or Pixel 4 XL as well. As you've no doubt noticed throughout the video so far, I do have dark mode enabled on my Pixel 4 XL. Now, if you haven't tried out Android 10 on either the Pixel 3 or used the Android beta when it came out on some sort of device, then this may be new to you depending on what device you're coming from. You can go ahead and enable it by going into Display and then turning on Dark Theme. So some really nice benefits about this is that it will change a lot of the system apps to dark mode as well. For instance, the Play Store also has dark mode, as you guys can see right here. Quite a few of the other Google apps like Google Keep, which I'm using to make this video, my list, is dark mode as well. Gmail is supposed to get dark mode pretty soon. Yeah, I don't have it yet, but it's rolling out with a server-side switch, so hopefully that's going to come soon. It is really cool to have dark mode. Personally, I like it. Obviously, it's a matter of taste, but it is something new that Google sort of added for Android 10 that works sort of throughout the Android UI and is not specific to an OEM device like Samsung. It's built into the operating system itself. My next suggestion is just a matter of simplicity. There's one thing that kind of bothers me about the launcher that Google has on the Pixel devices, and the main thing that bothers me is that they add an icon to the home screen every time you install a new app. I find it a bit annoying because I like to organize things inside my app drawer. Most Android users do. So if you want to turn that off, you can long press on the home screen, you go to Home Settings, And then right there where it says add icon to home screen, you can turn that off. It is enabled by default on the software that I was running, and in the past that's been the way it is. So if you don't like having that icon show up every time you download a new app from the Play Store, it is worth turning it off. Otherwise you're going to get a whole nother page full of apps that you've downloaded. The next thing you might want to consider is setting up the sensitivity of Active Edge, or deciding if you want it on at all. It does recommend this in the initial setup, but you might want to go back and tweak it later. So Active Edge is actually stored within Systems and also stored there in the same spot as we saw before, which is Gestures. Active Edge allows you to squeeze the side of your phone to enable Google Assistant. I kind of like it, but sometimes you have to play around with the sensitivity a little bit so that you have to squeeze it a little bit more firmly. Also, if you have a rather thick case or something like that on the device, you might want to turn the sensitivity down. So it's always nice to know where you can find this, and also decide if you want to allow this to happen when the screen is off, because sometimes you can accidentally trigger it. So you want to go into the Active Edge, decide if you want to use it. You can turn it off entirely if you really want to, or if you do want to use it, go ahead and make sure you dial in those settings so that they're working in a way that's perfect for you. One of the big new features in terms of hardware that comes with the Pixel 4, Pixel 4 XL is the new smooth motion refresh rate, the 90 hertz display that you have on this device, which is really nice when you're navigating the UI. It's very fluid and very smooth. That's one thing I've noticed in my initial impressions, but it only works in certain UI elements and certain apps, and Google hasn't really said which ones. So what you can actually do is you can go into the settings, and if you turn on developer options, and once you turn on developer options, you can go into the developer options and force the 90 hertz refresh rate. Now I'm going to show you where that's at. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the 90 hertz refresh rate is right here. It says force 90 hertz refresh rate. You can go in there and turn it on so that the 90 hertz refresh rate is working everywhere, no matter where you're at, what app you're in, etc. Now, of course, this is going to take a big hit to battery life. When I get into my review, I will run this force 90 hertz refresh rate versus the regular sort of, smooth motion where it's only working in the certain UI elements, and try to report back on some battery life. But it is there. It's an option that you can certainly decide on if you're an advanced user and see if it's something you're interested in. My next 3 tips come up with the new features that are actually added into the software by Google for the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4 XL. I'd recommend trying out each of these and sort of seeing how they work for you. The first big new feature is the motion sense gestures. And if you go into System again, you'll notice that right here you have motion sense. Now you can turn motion sense on or off. This is using the Soli radar. There's only a couple of things it can do right now, which one of those is it can check and see if you're reaching for your phone to turn on the ambient display to use face unlock. You can turn that on or off down here. It can also do quick gestures, which allows you to skip songs or tracks when you're in an app like Spotify, or if you're in a Pocket Cast, podcast type app. Basically, whenever you're using the Soli gestures, it'll allow you to skip songs. I'll show you in Spotify because it's probably just a little bit easier. I have some lovely music up here, and so you can see right here that it just continues going through the songs. I don't want to play them too much so that we don't have any issues with that. But you can see as I scroll through with my hand gestures, it'll switch between the tracks. It is pretty nice. It works pretty well for me. Some people have said it's a little finicky, but I haven't had any issues. I actually like it quite a bit, so I recommend you give it a try. Otherwise, Soli's a little limited right now, but hopefully they'll add some more useful features as this sort of grows and as the Pixel 4 matures. The next new feature that is particular to the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL is the new Google Assistant. And the way you can enable it on here is you can just swipe up from the bottom corner, the right or the left. It is much faster, and I'll show you guys that right now with a quick test. Look up NFL scores. So quite a bit faster in my experience than the old Assistant, which took a quite bit longer time to think about things, especially when it's looking up appointments and things on my personal calendar or information like that. It's quite a bit more responsive. And also when you're having conversations, that's because a lot of the computations with Assistant is now being done on the device, which is obviously a huge benefit, and something that probably won't be ported to the Pixel 3 devices because of the chip that's specific to this phone. The final new feature that I'd recommend you give a try is live caption. It's a pretty cool feature. If you go into the accessibility settings right here, you can turn live caption on or off. It's near the bottom a little bit right here. Live caption allows you to basically see things transcribed to the screen, whether it's a video or whether it's music, whatever. It doesn't work great with music, so I wouldn't use it for lyric identification, but you have some options like hiding profanity, things like that, turning it off or on. It puts a little box on the screen, so if you go in and you start playing a video, so if we go into YouTube, we can test this with just some random video here that I have, I don't know, on my subscriptions. And you can see right there, it shows the music playing. And then right there, you can see it sort of transcribes exactly what he's saying onto the screen, which is really cool. And you do like that. It's kind of a cool feature, especially if you're taking calls or something like that. Like I said, I've tested it out a little bit with music. And I don't know if it's the greatest for that, but that's not really the intended use. And again, remember, this is not the final release software as well. Alright guys, well that is a look at my first 10 things to do with your Pixel 4 or Pixel 4 XL. Really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm super happy to have this in-house. Obviously, these are just my first impressions, things I've done out of the box. I can't comment on everything, it's not a full review. I will have a full review coming up in the next week or so. So if you guys have interest in things like battery life, camera performance, and all that kind of stuff, definitely stay tuned and I'll get into that. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification icon if you want to see future videos like this. You guys can find me at dopetechdaily.site, also at Instagram and Twitter, the links in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.